Hello, everybody. Buddy with Midland, Texas. I can't sleep tonight, and so I just thought, well, I'm going to make a video here, and I did a Facebook post. It's not going to be real long. It is interesting though. You can see the title up there. It says Marilyn said somebody else died here before Mike. Okay, and Marilyn Dlugi was a former neighbor, lived at 3803 Fair Circle, directly across the street from my house. She since moved, and of course Mike Lawhon was the young previous owner, 27, that died right before I moved here in 2008. I believe he was murdered here and taken to Fort Worth. And so, short read here. Last week I explained to Lieutenant Gray with the Midland Sheriff's Department, I was down there Friday providing them evidence, that I believe multiple murders are connected with my home because a former neighbor, Marilyn Dlugi, told me twice that Mike Lawhon died in my home. But she also said that somebody else died here before him. Okay. 3 months before Mike died, Rene Escobar Sanchez was reported missing from Odessa, and he's never been found. As seen in the attachments, I sent Odessa Crimestoppers a tip and suggested that maybe he was buried in my west lawn because after I moved here, I would smell a death smell over there, and I found half-buried, cut-up clothes. I also contacted the Odessa American about this, but nobody looked here because the police pulled over a guy who confessed to Rene's murder with an ear-to-ear grin on his face. The timing of this confession, along with that huge smile on his face and the fact that no body was ever found, made me wonder if he was bribed to confess, and that was done so nobody would look here. Maybe Rene's buried there. When I first moved here, there was a large gray rug, a throw rug on top of the carpet by the fireplace. You can see that in the picture that I took on the first day to look at this house. Well, I found a large, ugly stain under that rug, and I wondered if somebody had died there, and I also found what looked like a bullet hole in the rock fireplace. I've wondered if Rene was shot there and then buried on the west side of the lawn. Marilyn wasn't the only person to tell me something like this, because Aaron Packelhofer asked me if I knew the names of the 4 people that had been murdered died in my house. It's clear they tried to make me the 5th. That was absolutely premeditated. The problem is that no matter how many leads or evidence is found, I can't seem to find any legitimate law enforcement officer to follow up on them. Okay, and I'm going to show you just a few of the screenshots here. Let's start with Rene's missing poster right here. Okay, this is the missing poster, and there's the date. To the date, it was 3 months to the day that he was reported missing over in from Odessa, and he has a family and a wife, and there's a story here. Sanchez was last seen drinking beer inside the garage of his home in 1900 block of North Hancock Avenue in Odessa at 11 p.m. on July 12, 2008. He left his vehicle, his cellular phone, cat money, identification wallet behind. He's never been heard from again. Sanchez was a mechanic at the time of his disappearance, as described as no enemies, devoted to his family. It's uncharacteristic for him to leave without warning. Okay. In January 2013, and that was right after I had wrote the Odessa Crimestoppers, Jesus Miguel Venegas confessed to Sanchez's murder after he was arrested for driving on an invalid license. A photo of Venegas is posted below for the case summary. He had been drinking with Sanchez at Sanchez's home that night and the last person to see him. He originally told police they drank until 2:30 a.m. on July 13th, and then he left. He admitted that he stabbed Sanchez to death and buried his body in the vicinity of I-20 and Moss Avenue. Searches of that area turned up nothing. But Venegas was convicted in November 2015. He was sentenced to 18 years in prison for the killing. Sanchez has been married for 5 years. By the time of his disappearance, he left behind 2 children. Foul play is suspected. And one of his daughters contacted me, and that's true. And actually, here there was more in a video that was done. I saw he went to a party at a nearby house that night right before he went missing, and Lopez was the name. And interesting, I had a Mason that was the same exact name, and they'd come over here. I'm gonna show you. This is the. That's where I was saying he had that huge smile on his face. He just confessed to murder. They pull him over for a headlight being out or whatever. Right, right after I suggest somebody looks, looks here in my yard, and all of a sudden he confesses with that smile on his face. Just the timing of it and that smile. It made me wonder if he wasn't bribed. And here, this was the Odessa Crimestoppers tip that I sent in. You know, I was transferred to Midland October 2008. I bought a home here. Home was in poor shape, looked like it's been around. After I moved here, I noticed something, a smell of something dead on the west side of my home. I can never locate it. Smell was there about 6 months. Even walked around the west neighbor's home once to see if the smell was coming from there. I wondered if the neighbor died. I said something to my neighbor. I also found remnants of clothing that was half buried by the fence on this side of the home. I would bet that some of the clothing remnants can still be found over there. Okay, since this was 4 years ago, it was prior to me figuring out that my home was being broken into repeatedly and being shot with from a hidden basement on January 28, 2012. I have overwhelming proof that I was shot from under a cabinet in my utility room, but I've been unable to get local police to do anything about it. I understand that's not OPD's problem, but the place from where I was shot is on the same wall as where the dead body smell was coming from back when I first moved here. I'm not reporting this to bring attention to the hidden basement and the murder attempt on my life, even though that'd be nice, but to alert you that I think it's possible that Rene might have been buried on or near my property 4 years ago, and after I sent that Crimestoppers, they pull over a guy for a broken headlight, and he confesses to murder with a huge smile on his face. Okay, that's what I'm saying. And then I also sent it to the Odessa American, and they never even replied. I was letting them know that I'd sent this Crimestoppers tip in. And so, and then the picture, this is on the first day I looked at the house. I took pictures as I walked through the house. And this is the rug I was talking about. There was a rug that was on top of the carpet here. And under that rug's this huge, ugly stain. You know, like I said, when I pulled it out, I wondered if somebody had died there. You've been, you know, was a blood stain. And then in this rock, when I redid this rock fireplace right here, I found what I thought was a bullet hole in there. I remember telling my mom, I said, I think it looks like a bullet hole, Mom. She says, maybe it is, you know. And so I wondered if Rene wasn't killed right there and then buried on the side of the lawn, which would be 3 months before Mike Lawhon died, you know. And then Marilyn wasn't the only person, you know, to tell me about multiple murders at this house. Aaron Packelhofer here, you know, tells me, I won't involve myself. I'm well aware of the many corruption accusations against the Midland police. I'm not sure if it's secret police as much as it's just pure criminal activity by the police. But if I can ask, there were 4 people who were murdered, died in your house. What are their names? You know, I didn't know their names, but obviously Aaron did, you know. And then I've said this before, Aaron ends up after I make a point of him telling me 4 people murdered my house, the city of Midland grants him $72,000 to start up his dream business. He owns a brewery in town now, and you know, and some people have asked if taxpayers' money was used as hush money so to cover up these capital murders. You know, I've in the past it's been a long time since I talked about it, but I've done videos on it. This is one of them called Death Smell and Cut Up Clothes in 2016, and these are some neighbors that come by, and we were talking about this, about Rene Escobar Sanchez. And here, this was from my security camera, and so here I'm talking. You can't hear nothing, of course, and you're going to see here in a minute. We go down there and we're looking on the ground, and I find a piece of the cut up clothing, you know, and that's what I was telling them. Yeah, you can still find it if you look over here, because there's, like I said, a pile of half buried clothing that was over here on this side of the lawn, and this is the side where the death smell was on this side of the lawn. There we go. I'm picking it up, and right here inside that wall, that's where I was ambushed and shot. You know, I had somebody under my home and shot me. And so, anyways, you know, that's one of the many murders believed to have happened, and maybe it was Rene Escobar Sanchez. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.